Hey, shalom, shalom. I'd like to first and foremost start off by giving infinite praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, I'd like to say shalom, Wa'ashem, Yikabad, God, Waller, Rakaz, Aquayim, Now, Washala, Yakim, Now, which of course is double honor to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and shalom, Wa'abarakim, Labakayim, Shal, Yasha Allah, which is peace and blessings unto the elect. I'm the brother Dawud from the DC Church, back with another short lesson through the spirit of power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, and real quick, I like to basically just give a World War III, all right, WW3 update, okay, because there's been some major conflicts that's been going on these past few days, really this past week, all right, and it's also affected the markets as well. Markets dropped or started trading lower during the time of the attack. I think that was Thursday at like 10 p.m. Markets dropped really low, but as you can see, there's been a lot of conflict between two major key players, all right, in world economics and also in prophecy, all right, which is Iran and also Israel, okay? And as we know, there's been missile strikes at Iran from Israel and vice versa. Iran allegedly dropped missiles on Tel Aviv. And so there's a ton of articles, all right, which I'll read some of the headlines. It says, Israel warns Tehran, all right, which is the capital of Iran. But it says, Israel warns Tehran will burn if Iranian strikes continue. Live updates is it says Iran launches missiles at Israel after Israeli strikes. Israel says attacks on Iran are nothing compared with what is coming. All right, live updates, waves of airstrikes in Iran and Israel as exchange of fires. It says Israel attacks Iran, what we know so far. All right, and there's just a ton of articles. All right, you had this devil. All right, Benjamin, not a Jew, or Netanyahu, pretty much trying to instigate or advocate for the USA to join in this war, and this is basically the same thing he did back in the days when he advocated for the war in Afghanistan, and America was there for I think like 20 years and didn't get anything out of it. Okay, but basically, all right, he's doing the same exact thing right now. We understand that this right here is exactly what the scriptures talk about when it talks about the least of the flock shall draw him out. All right, basically saying the least among the nations, the least of the nations, all right, Amalek, is going to draw a major key player, all right, Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon, into this WW3. And now we also have to understand, according to prophecy, there are major countries that are backing Iran, all right, i.e. Russia, China, and other surrounding nations that support Iran. So this is going to lead, all right, now we don't know how soon it's going to happen. Of course, we don't know, but we do know that this is that time, all right, and this is not going to dwindle down. There's not going to be peace made between these two nations. They want each other's throats, okay? And that hatred, all right, that that fired up spirit is what is going to lead to essentially World War III, all right, and ultimately the judgment in the valley of decision, all right, which we'll also get into. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of these articles. Let's grab this one. All right, this is from Reuters.com, and it says Israel says attacks on Iran are nothing compared with what is coming. All right, so summary of the latest developments: Netanyahu vows to strike every target of Ayatollah's regime. It says host Omen Salakia. It says host Omen says Sunday's U.S.-Iran nuclear talks canceled. Iranian media reports attack hitting gas fields first to energy sector. Okay, let's just read a little bit. Just a little bit, but all right, it says Israel pounded Iran for a second day on Saturday, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said its campaign would intensify dramatically, while Tehran called off nuclear talks with Washington, had held out as the only way to halt the bombing, a day after Israel wiped out the top echelon of Iran's military command with a surprise attack on its old foe. It appeared to have hit Iran's oil and gas industry for the first time, with Iranian state media reporting a blaze at a gas field. It says Netanyahu said Israel strikes had set back Iran's nuclear program possibly by years and rejected international calls for restraint. It says we will hit every site and every target of Ayatollah's regime, and what they have felt so far is nothing compared with what they will be handed in the coming days, he said in a video message. In Tehran, Iranian authorities said around 60 people, including 29 children, were killed in an attack on housing complex, with more strikes reported across the country. Israel said it had attacked more than 150 targets. Iran had launched its own retaliatory missiles volley on Friday night, killing at least 3 people in Israel. Okay. It says air raid sirens sent Israelis into shelters as waves of missile strikes across the sky, and interceptors rose to meet them. All right. U.S. President Donald Trump has lauded Israel's strikes and warned Iran of much worse to come. Okay, so you can see right there that he has no issue defending Israel. All right. It says he said that it was not too late to halt the Israeli campaign, but only if Tehran quickly accepted a sharp downgrading of its nuclear program at talks with Washington due to be held on Sunday, all right, which Iran actually canceled. Okay, so I'm going to jump down. All right, it says Iranian general said Tehran was reviewing whether to close the Strait of blah, blah, blah. All right, while Israel operations could last week. All right, yeah, basically the point being that there are much conflicts, all right, that are going on between these two countries. All right, they had a long history of hatred, okay, essentially because Israel, or the Israelis, took over the land of Israel in Palestine, and pretty much kicked the Palestinians out of their, quote unquote, their land, which we know essentially that land belongs to us, our so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But they've occupied the land for so long to which they believed it was theirs. And then you had the Balfour Declaration in 1948, where you had the Israelis come in and basically kick all of them out, all right, to the point where they even, got them at the Gaza Strip, and they're trying to get them out of there too. So, these Iranians, they are just sick and tired of, Israel, and they want them gone. They want them gone. But again, this is just going to lead into a major thing, all right, which I'm going to go ahead and read this. This is Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 20. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Okay, so Israel is going to draw the United States into this war, and not only is Israel going to become desolate, but especially the United States will become desolate, because essentially all of these other countries are tired of being bullied. All right, are tired of being bullied by the hammer of the earth. Okay. And so even the scriptures prophesy, which I'll get it in the next chapter, in verse 23, it says, verse 22, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right. So it's going to be unbelievable because America has one of the greatest militaries that's ever been upon the face of the earth of all time. You see, with technology that they have and also the size, all right, that they have and the amount of embassies they have across all the nations of the earth, you know, it's irrefutable that, you know, America is definitely one of the top contenders, if not the top contender, all right, of the greatest military that's ever been upon the face of the planet. Okay. But according to prophecy, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. All right. And that's exactly what's going to be the case in this scenario with Babylon 2.0. Okay. Now it says, verse 24, I have laid a snare. Now that snare is what? The least of the flock, drawing them out. Okay. America getting involved in this war. All right. And being dragged into this war by Israel. Okay. So it says, how I have laid a snare for thee, verse 24, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord. Okay. So because of all of the debauchery, the moral corruption, all right, financial corruption, all of the things that's been taking place in this land, man. All right. The very foundation of it. All right. Because of all of that. All right. You know, this place is going to be taken in a snare. It says the Lord has opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord, God of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans. Okay, so this is what's going to take place. All right, and essentially all of these nations are going to be gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat according to prophecy. You know, and really this is all throughout the scriptures. This is recorded in 2nd Ezra's, I believe the 13th chapter, where it talks about, you know, the Lord, you know, all of these nations trying to come up against the Lord. And although they were scared, they still, it said, yet durst fight. All right, that's recorded in 2nd Ezra's. That's recorded in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. All right, where it talks about, there shall send fanners unto Babylon that shall fan her. All right, basically, you know, talking about the missiles that's going to shoot across the world into Babylon. And then also in Joel, all right, it talks about the nations being judged in the valley of decision. All right, essentially in the midst of World War III, when all of these nations are gathered in Israel for this battle, you're gonna have Yahweh Shah Hamashiach appear. Okay, he's gonna judge all of them. Okay. So you're going to have Russia, you're going to have Iran, you're going to have Israel, America, China, all of these different countries, okay, gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat, Salakia. All right, and it also mentions it in, I believe it's Jeremiah, the 20th chapter. All right, so it's all throughout the scriptures. In Jeremiah, I said Jeremiah, the 20th chapter. I meant to say Revelation, the 20th chapter. But it's in Revelation, Jeremiah, Isaiah, all right, Joel, 2nd Ezra's. All of these prophets have basically prophesied of the same event that is getting ready to take place. All right, and basically the start of that event is what we're seeing happening right now. Okay, the least of the flock, drawing them out. All right, so we don't know how long it's going to take till it actually gets to that point to where these nations are gathered in the valley of decision. All right, but we're seeing it happen right now. All right, we're seeing the beginning of the end right now. Okay, so let me see if I had anything else. Okay, yeah, I looked that up in ChatGPT as well. The term least of the flock, it says, what does it mean? It says in context, it refers to a small, insignificant group or nation, or even the weakest individuals being used by God to bring down a mighty nation. Here, Edom. All right. So this is going to bring down the Edomite hegemon across the earth. Okay. The elites, all right, all of them are going to be taken out in this WW3 when Yahweh Shah appears. All right. Now it says basically using Obadiah. All right. Yeah, that was basically it. All right. I just wanted to make a quick video just highlighting most recent prophecy updates, what's been going on in the world. All right, because this is a major thing. Okay. And so with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahshua, Bashim Kakwadash. Until next time, I like to say, hey, Shalom.